My name is Vanessa Micelli Schmidt, and at SAP I'm responsible for UX innovation. And today I would like to talk to you about the new interaction path we're currently exploring to SAP software. So this is not about product, it's very close to product, but we do exploration, so this is very important to say that. And we're looking for customers for co-innovation, so if you see anything that you find super interesting and relevant for your business scenarios, processes, come to me afterwards and let me know. So when I finished my studies 13 years ago, I'm a computational linguist by training. There were not many jobs in that profession back then. So computational linguistics is about language processing, right? It's about how to make a machine understand what we're saying. And more importantly, also how to make the machine respond to what we're saying. So I was always excited by languages, how they evolve, and then how to make the machine interpretable. Back then, there were, as said, not many jobs. Mainly in research, you could find jobs, or big companies that have some research labs where they allowed these kind of explorations. But even back then, I already thought this cannot be the future, that we interact with our machines via mouse and keyboard. Super unintuitive and not natural at all. And as said, languages interested me, and I thought this might be the way forward, right? So today, things have changed. You know already we have all these digital assistants. Not perfectly working yet, but I think it's a good start. And why is that? Why was there back then no interest? Well, the reason was we hand-built gigantic ontologies by hand, as said, and that was very cost-intensive. We built these, and we made language be interpretable with these, but they were nowhere product-ready. It was too slow, it was too lazy. But the advances in AI, in machine learning, are here today. And this is why we believe it's important to look into that and continue exploring these kind of spaces. So this is the agenda. We will talk about the future of human-computer interaction, of course. I will mention the UX strategy and how it supports the future of work, how it supports the way we want to work in our businesses. I will talk a little bit about Fiori 3 and then the innovation projects. Briefly, what is Fiori 3? And then I will give you examples of the interaction patterns we're currently exploring. You will see 2 demos. And and then we talk briefly about ambient UX. And then you get some summary and key takeaways, and I hope that I get you excited for the topics and that we might collaborate. So the future of human-computer interaction. How do we interact with software in the consumer space, but also in the business space? How did we do it a while back? And how will we in the future? This is that part. So in our SAP user experience, as said, we want to support you. We want to support you for the future of work. And that means that we want to guide you through tailored experiences. I will explain a bit more what that means in a little bit. And we want to do that by understanding your state of mind, by understanding your situation and your context. And most importantly, we want you also to trust our software confidentially. So tailored experience, what do we mean by that? The user experience we deliver currently are a kind of one-size-fits-all approach, right? We build one application and it has to fit to the masses. But we believe this is not the future because everybody's different. We all have different kind of preferences, but also challenges that we have to overcome. So what we want to do is we want to actually provide user experience that help you get a personal user experience that fits you best in your situation. Understanding your state of mind, what do we mean by this? We mean that the moment you need a certain experience, maybe you're very tired this morning and then you might need something lighter. Maybe you're super stressed and then we want the experience to adapt to that. And you will see a project how we try to achieve that currently. I mentioned already trust, and this is very important to us. The reason is that in order to give you everything that AI and machine learning can actually give you, we need data, of course. And we need you to trust the software and to trust the person or the company that delivers the software to you. We need you to trust them with your data. And whatever we do, for us, this is very important. You are the master of this data. You decide for what it's supposed to be taken. And so we want to empower you in a trustful and ethical way. As mentioned, it's essential to us. And how do we achieve it? So we design for people. The human is always in the center of whatever we do. We're driven by our values. We place data protection, privacy at our core. Already mentioned that. You always have to know. We have to be transparent. You have to know where your data is and what we exactly do with it. Our design teams are in different locations in the world. So in order to also cover demographically diverse, multidisciplinary and collaborative environments. So yeah, and of course, everything we do, we try to be inclusive with that. You will see a project about eye tracking later, and this goes in that direction. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. This is very important, we believe. Same with the digital assistants. I always think it's dangerous to go to the market too early with them if the language understanding doesn't work too. So we use explainable AI where applicable. What does it mean? I said transparency already. If the system suggests me something, there is maybe you've heard of Fiori situations already. I do something, the system suggests me to do something else or to do something differently. I want to know why, or at least I want to have the possibility to find out why. So in my team, what we do is we look into human-computer interaction also in the consumer space. Because we believe that the way we interact with machines in the consumer space often create kind of a routine that we would also expect in the work environment. So a good example, for instance, Alexa. My son, 7 years now, goes to the living room and says, play Justin Bieber, and then Justin Bieber plays. So I remember when I wanted to listen to, what did I listen to? Take That or something. I had to wait until it played on the radio, press 2 buttons, and then made my recording on my tape. But I had to wait for that. So it was not that, or I had to go to the store and buy a disc. I was already CD. Yeah. So, but what I'm saying is that this commodity, this routine that my son has, he doesn't understand why grandma doesn't have an Alexa, because why would she not? It's so convenient to have this. And all this convenience, if you look into these different areas you see here, this convenience we want to bring also to the business space. I mean, watching, for instance, do you still watch regular TV? In Germany, Sunday, 8:15, we have a series that comes every Sunday, and it was kind of tradition that earlier the parents try to have the children in bed at 8:15. They can sit down on the couch and watch that. Today, our children don't even know about that anymore. 8:15 is not a time when the TV program starts. It can start whenever you want, wherever you are, on demand. Same with talking. I remember being on the phone with my friend for hours. These days, it's my son, when I call him, he says, can we text? Why are you calling? And he hangs up, and then we text. So things are changing, and we think this is also, it will change in the business area as well. So the same convenience we know from the consumer space, we want to bring you to the business space as well. I mean, and we already can tell at SAP, we can definitely, that the flexibility has increased, right? We can work from wherever we are, wherever we want, basically. You just have to get your job done, and you decide where you can do that perfectly. Also, work-life blending. Yeah, I think you can all tell that you're traveling here. You still have to find ways to bring your private life into this kind of working style. So we have to support with user experience. We want to support these kind of changes that are happening. So yeah, these are our strategic UX goals. We want to offer interaction patterns based on your context and on your preference, taking advantage of the massive leaps in AI. I already mentioned this, and the personal technology to produce that kind of supportive user experience. What does it mean? You can see on that picture, we show you different interaction patterns that we're exploring that are partially already here, but partially not yet. So the idea is that wherever you are and whatever interaction pattern fits to that context, that you should be able to pick to work that way. The challenge we have here is that we have to support different kinds of users that have different expectations, as said, and also different preferences. So there are workers that sit mostly in front of their desktop in an office, maybe a big, an open big space office, where you would probably not use conversational UI to interact with your machine. It would disturb everybody else. Also, you might be in a busy airport, and then it doesn't make sense either. But then there are the mobile workers that, I don't know, in the hotel room, they want this kind of convenience. There are people that travel a lot. They need different kind of support, have different kind of expectations, and there are all these other factors that affect the user experience, and we want to offer experiences that actually meet these expectations and these kinds of needs. So Fiori 3 is all about coherence, intelligence, and integration. I think you've heard that already. And we've designed a design system that allows us to offer this, to offer a coherent user experience across different kind of product, across our product portfolio. We want to infuse intelligence wherever possible and incrementally increase that all over the place. And yeah, we want to allow you to integrate the solution you need to be integrated. This slide, you probably have seen, it hasn't changed over the last years, but it's also still our guidelines and what we believe in, what is important. So the Fiori design system, it has these design principles, and it's basically technology agnostic. However, the technology we recommend to use is, as you probably know, UI5, but there is the SDK for native applications in iOS, but also for Android applications. But you're free to pick other technologies because our design system allows you to also build these freestyle kind of applications. I mentioned it has to be adaptive, so it has to adapt to multiple use cases and scenarios. Here we need to offer something that is flexible enough so that you can build the applications you need. Simple, of course, coherent, I mentioned already. And well, also, especially for us, it's very important that it's also delightful, because if you like working with something, it also increases not just the happiness, but also the productivity in the end. So here's a summary of Fiori 3. You probably already see our new common shell bar design. We have a set of common core settings. There will be one digital assistant that will be available across all different products, and there's going to be consistent navigation. And there has already been the first release of the first design assets of Fiori 3, and we will incrementally continue to release more of these. This is one example, the cards. So cards are flexible, self-contained patterns, UI5 cards. It doesn't matter where you have them. If you have them on your home screen that you can create yourself, or on your mobile phone, they always look the same. So it's very coherent, a very coherent user experience. And yeah, this is one of the examples where we try to be, well, it's reusable, of course, it's scalable. And they allow you to have insights wherever you are, whenever you need them. So let's have a look into a couple of interaction patterns. Some of them I will just mention, like this one, conversational interaction. I think there's a booth on the show floor on conversation AI. You can get all the information there. We at SAP Design, we design the user experience. So we invested a lot into the dialogue designs. How does the system respond? How do you meet all the cultural expectations, challenges? Is it a he, a she, or does it need to have a gender, etc.? All these things we invested a lot in. And as said, we are aiming also into looking into interaction patterns that are natural. I mentioned in the beginning, keyboard and mouse are far from being natural. It's a weird way of interacting, but conversations are, of course, because this is how we're born. We're born that way. We interact all the time with our voice and text. So we believe this is an interaction pattern that needs to be much more included into everything. That's why it plays such a big role in Fiori 3 as well. Sketch interaction, we have explorations in that area. What it allows you is that you, it's a tablet, a prototype on a tablet where you can write a question. The use case we had is analytics. You write a question and then you get an answer, and then you get the answer and you might get a graph or a table. And it's very intuitive to interact. You can write natural language questions, but then you can also strike out stuff that you don't want to see, and you can add with natural language, you can add more information, and it helps the way you interact in that way. For you it's very easy. It basically doesn't need a lot of training to be able to interact like that with it. What it gives us is insights into the way how people interact with analytical data. What is it that people want to see? Is it when we show that table, is it always that one column that is crossed out by a certain role? So why not remove it from the start? And for the few people that want to see that, then they would add it. This is what we could do with the data that we gather by the way you're interacting then. Augmented virtual reality, I'm not going to say much about this. We're just about to start a project in that area, and there's a lot of things to do here, especially on how do you represent data when you're wearing such a glass, because yeah, it doesn't make any sense. We believe that you should then show a table. Why would you need the glass then? So yeah, I mean, there's I'm always a bit skeptical about these kind of glasses because it's always, yeah, it's a big thing. And when you have worn it for 1 hour, it's yeah a bit exhausting. But I think we need to start exploring now because at some point when they get to a version that they are really comfortable in wearing and battery lasts long and everything, that you know are challenges to be overcome here, then we have an answer already how, from the UX perspective, how to create a solution for this. So ambient user experience is a project we just we started recently, and we have a very first prototype in that area. What does it mean? It does mean that we want to find out automatically, as good as we can, what kind of context you're currently in. And if that context changes, we want to be able to adapt the user experience then so that it fits perfectly to the new context that has changed into. So what does it mean? An example is, for instance, imagine you're working on your phone. You might be using your digital assistant and you're talking to it and you ask about certain KPIs and you get a nice pie chart and you're walking and you look at it and maybe you click and then you ask another question and get more information, but then you enter your car. Put your phone on the side and you ask another question, you start driving. So what if the next pie chart comes up? I mean, probably many of us take it and anyways have a glance, but we're not supposed to, right? So, but what if the phone could detect now that you're driving? It detects you're driving and then it knows, maybe no chart, but I will answer with a sentence and explain a bit more what is most important here. And these are the ideas we have here. And our very first prototype is, yeah, on the phone. I mean, you get all this data from your phone already. So when I put it on the table, the phone lies because it's not moving, right? It lies on the table. When I put it in the bag, it has a weird angle. I can detect all that. So here we are exploring that area. And then the next idea is, once we know your context, what is the user experience we then switch to? From where do we start and then where do we want to go? I'm not going to show that demo here, but this is now where it gets a bit more concrete gaze interaction. So what is gaze interaction? It's eye tracking, basically, but it's also a bit more. It's not replacing the mouse and cursor about that only. Of course, it also is. But it's also about what could be the design patterns that we need in Fiori, and more specifically in Fiori 3, to be able to allow that you work with that screen with your eyes only. So the idea is that you can sit back, you look at your screen, and then you make the UI change just by gazing, and by gazing at certain information. This again gives us insights, because if we give you a dashboard and you look at it today, and then what we know already is what kind of dashboard is it, and then where do you click? How much time do you spend on a certain dashboard? But then where do you click? Because this is the only possibility you currently have. You can click something and then you navigate somewhere, or you activate something. But if we have a technology like eye tracking, we can see where is it you're looking, and maybe you spend a lot of time on a certain screen, but it's because you're not looking anymore. It's because you're talking to your colleague or you're reading something. And all this information we can gather with this awesome technology. So it's not fun to give an eye tracking demo on stage, because so I have a screen capture of that. So you just have to believe me that it all happens just by looking. But if you want to try that out, we are on the show floor, booth 55, and there we give the live demo, because it's always more fun if you stand in front of the screen yourself and do it yourself, or if you stand next to me and see that it's true that it's all about just looking. But yeah, so let me play that now. So let me just quickly pause and see if you can, because I cannot hear, the resolution is so bad. Yeah, you can. So if you look at the card now, it's the top performing carrier ranking. You can see it comes out a little bit, so it does have a blue frame around it. So this is how we represent focus. So I just briefly go back to the very beginning, and then it starts on the top left, and then basically the gaze goes from one card to the other, and you can see how they slightly pop out, and this is how it tells you this is where your focus currently is. What we can do with that, I already told you, we can see where is it people are looking. So here you can see focusing completely on the middle part of this dashboard, and if we then remove this heat map again, we can give that a bit of semantics. This tells us this is the most important part, top left a little bit important, bottom never look there. And this can be very different for people. Sometimes people just start on the top left, others have more tendency to look on the right. And this is already one idea where we say you could, in that way, you could adapt your dashboards. You could decide on where to put what kind of information so that it catches the very first attention. So I'm continuing with the screen capture here. So now it's the TM special report that was, oh, I'm sorry, oh, I hate that. So it's a TM special report. You look on it, and then after a little bit, it opens. And scrolling happens. You just look at the bottom part of the screen. So I can sit back. It's really hands-free, relax, and then I scroll. It scrolls automatically for me. Closing, just looking at the close button, and then it closes. So what you saw, maybe, if you know Fiori 3, you saw the close button is a little bit different. So these are the explorations we're currently testing. Also, how big does a button, an actionable button, have to be if you want to actually be able to click it or kind of activate it with your eyes only. So now imagine a notification pops in, and you just look at this kind of notification, and you look at it, and then you're navigated to a dashboard. And here, this is actually the scenario that we find most promising, and you tell us, please, if you don't agree or if you have other ideas on where to use this technology. So we now start on the top left. So imagine you're looking there, and what will happen is the longer you look, we assume that you're interested. So it's progressively disclosing further information. So now the focus will be on the accessories, that is the green part of the pie chart. And I look a bit longer on it, and then the dashboard filters for accessories. So the whole dashboard is adapted, and now going through the different cards, one after the other, you can see when you look, you focus on something, more information is added. So now please focus on the top right, and you can see you started at your dashboard, and you had a chart, and then I was interested in a certain part of that chart, and then a map showed. If we would start with that map, the context would be missing. But if you start with something else and we progressively disclose more information, you have all this context. So you saw EMEA didn't have the numbers you expected. You focused on EMEA, and then this opens. And now I can see that it's not the whole EMEA that has a problem. It's apparently only Germany where the numbers are bad. And if you now want to deep dive further into this issue, you just look at Germany. Now this is happening. Looking at Germany, and now you can, did I press play? Yes. You're zooming into Germany, and you can actually see it's not the whole of Germany, but it's basically Bavaria, where the availability is not high enough. And by exploring then the data, seeing all the numbers, you look at the unit availability, and then we could push further information, because assuming that the next step would be you call the responsible person, we can push this information, and you can continue from that. What we can also do then, this is all, as said, with the eyes only. You can now close the tabs, and then you're zooming out of this data again. Here, same with the accessories, and then the dashboard ends up at being the one it has been before. Yeah, we brought exactly that showcase. We brought it here, so you can come to our booth and try it. This is a privacy filter. The idea here is that when you're not looking, it blurs, so it kind of gives you privacy. Here we have a video. When you're not looking, it pauses. You're talking to someone. You're going back, you look again, and then it continues. And I always say I want to have that at my TV. So whenever I go out, then it would just pause. So I think you get the idea. And some of these explorations we can already, we're still testing. So how long is it actually that I have to look on a tile that it opens? What is too long? Because if I know what I want to open and it takes just too long until it does, it might be annoying. So we've been last year already at TechEd with the very first prototype of this. We got a lot of customer feedback, included that already in this exploration, in this prototype, and we're just starting a co-innovation project with a customer of ours to find now a business scenario that brings us closer to product, and hopefully then we have the push to offer this in Fiori 3. And so gaze interaction, we believe this can be something that is going to be there very soon. The only hurdle we believe we still have is an eye tracker. It's an extra piece of hardware you need for that. It's like this big, and you via USB you plug it in. It's infrared, and it tells you the XY coordinates on your screen. This is all it does. It's not so expensive, but if you assume you have a middle-sized or big company and you need to equip every station with that kind of hardware, it's already a hurdle. But first laptops already have this kind of technology already integrated in their screens, and we believe as soon as this happens, this hurdle is overcome. We also are looking currently into brain-computer interaction. And yeah, there are basically two things you can do with that. One is you can perform an action. You can, with the power of your mind, you can actually make your user experience change. But this is it's still too early for that. So the power of thoughts, I mean, it's awesome if something happens, but it's not. It's still too blurry. So I think we're partnering here with Emotive, a company from San Francisco. What you can do already is fly a drone with the power of your mind. So commands like up, down, left, right, they do work. But the thing is, you're so amazed when this thing goes up, and you maybe already think down and it still goes up, and you don't care because it's just still, it's such an amazing feeling that you're. But if you imagine this in a business context and you want to, I don't know, you want to say approve and then it rejects, or the other way around, you wouldn't want to do that. So we stepped back from that and we said, okay, not ready yet, this technology, but what about other things, like what else can they do? And what they can do, and this they can do already really confidentially, is that you can detect how stressed a person is and how focused a person is. So I think for the last 10 years, they have collected data. They have this massive database powered with machine learning, so that they can now detect this when you wear that device. And you can see one example of a device here that she's wearing, and it does have 5 sensors, 2 here, 1 on the top of the head and 1 behind the head. But still, you think like, well, who in the office would wear this, right? And I agree completely, who would? And also, it did hurt a little bit after a while when you wear it for a while because of sensors. But still, it's still amazing. But Emotive, of course, they knew that, and all the other companies that are in that space, they know that this is it doesn't make it consumer friendly if you have devices like this. So the next thing they did, and I forgot it for this talk, but on the show floor we have it, and you can also see and try it out how it works. It's headphones, and I will show you a video in a little bit where you see people wearing these headphones. So you can use them as normal headphones, take phone calls with it, Bluetooth device, and the earbuds have sensors. So it's an in-ear sensors, and then you have to put it behind your ears, and it has 2 sensors behind the ear as well. It has a motion detector as well. And what this device can do, as said already, it can detect your stress level and your attention level. So we were thinking, okay, where is it? Where would we need this? And there are 2 ideas that we have, and also what we heard from customers, where customers believe this can be applicable in the business case, in the business scenario. And this is, one is education, and the other one is safety. So safety, one example in China already, drivers of these high-speed trains wear these kinds of devices, and when they are too stressed, they are forced basically to take a break, because it can be fatal if you make a mistake in these kinds of situations. If I'm tired in front of my desktop, nobody will die if I don't send an email or something. But yeah, in these safety scenarios, I think you can maybe imagine others where it is fatal if you're too stressed. Maybe you shouldn't be taking this kind of decision now. Another scenario is education, and I'm going to show you a video about the vision we have in education in a second. The idea we have there is you know, SAP has also a big educational platform. We offer webinars and all kind of other learnings. But every learning is basically always in learning, not only at SAP, but also all other offerings. It's a one-size-fits-all approach again. We built a kind of seminar. We check it on a website, and then you can watch it. And we don't care if you are text, if you have preferences like learning from text or from video, etc., because we can't. It has to fit the masses again, right? But what if we can improve this this learning experience? What if you, who maybe likes to read and can read long documents, while I, after 5 minutes, lose the focus? What if the experience would switch for us? What if it can be a very personal user experience? And this is the vision that we have, and we collaborate here together with, as said, with SAP Education and Emotive again. And if you are a customer that would be super interested in exploring this and make a study with us, come to us. So let me show you this video. Sound doesn't work, but there's the text on the bottom. It's 1 minute, just enjoy without music. Sorry, I don't have sound. And these are the headphones you can see. And the experience here switches once the stress level goes up from video to text. So yeah, you got this QR code also in the slides, or you have my name now. Ping me if you are interested. So I already told you we are collaborating with Emotive. Unfortunately, they were not able to be here with us at this TechEd. But yeah, it's also, we chose that partner because we also trust in them and in their solution. And I said in the beginning that for us, it's very essential that you also trust in our solution. And this, of course, is a very critical topic. And we know that we have to be very sensitive with regards to data privacy. And as mentioned, also transparency of what is happening with your data. And we would never build a solution like this where it could be used against you. So it's always about the human. If you share your data, you get the best experience. If you don't want to do that, the experience is as it is. As said, one size fits all. We did have customers with a concern that said, if I wear this thing and my boss knows I'm 7 hours from 8, I'm not focused, what could this mean, right? And some managers maybe also think, if I would know about my team, 10 people, 2 of them never focused, well, these are the 2 that I'm firing, right? Yes, you could, of course, do that, but this is not what we aim at. Plus, I mean, it would not solve your problem. You get rid of these 2, but you didn't actually find a solution for why this happened. Why were they not focused? And this is what we aim for. We aim for solutions that help you to be the best self you can be, to be more productive and more focused and have a better user experience. So if you come to our show floor booth, we have a challenge. We needed something that could show the power of this technology in, let's say, 2 minutes, because this is normally the time people spend on the show floor booth. And we said, okay, so how can we do that? Because the power of this is when if you do a training, it takes hours, days, I don't know what. And then the device would recognize, okay, what kind of learner are you? So it's a time-consuming process. But the challenge we have is, it showcases, the power of the technology, but plus also the power of design, good design. So you would get 10 questions. You can see type A on the top, raw data, and you get a question on that tabular data, and you need to answer. And the second then is you get 10 questions, and we show you a Fiori UI. And then we compare the results, and let me see, I think it was our Fiori PM who did that. So he, 100% in the Fiori correct responses. It does differ. You can also see, if we always compare it to the community, the average response time goes, of course, down if you have a better UI. The correctness is also, because there's a timer, of course, we only give you a certain amount of time to answer a question. The correctness went up. And you can see the stress level, which is measured by MN8 from Emotive. The device is called MN8. And you can see it goes down. Actually, when I did it, it went up with Fiori, but I think it was because I was hoping that it works and that I'm better in Fiori, and then my stress level went up. So, but yeah, it's a challenge. It's fun, actually. It's kind of gamification, but it showcases that, and you can see we can prove that what we talk about here does work. So what else? Well, the power of combining gaze and brain-computer interaction. So you saw the heat map before. You saw, if you look at a dashboard, we can see where you're looking. But what if you would combine this? What if we can not only see where you're looking, but also know your reaction to what you're looking at? So imagine you have this dashboard, you're looking at a card, and maybe you're very interested. Suddenly you read something, you're super interested. What we could do is we could offer you more information on that topic. We could push more information on that. We could adapt the dashboard. All these ideas we'd like to explore with the combination of these 2 technologies. Summary, we're already at the end of this presentation. So the digital transformation, it's happening, and we believe user experience can help you in being ready for that. And the digital transformation, it does have implications on the end users. It's not about getting rid of people in certain kind of jobs, but it's about what are the other implications. I mean, we know that AI is automating many of our repetitive tasks, and this frees us from doing them, and we have time to maybe do more creative, more interesting tasks. But this also means that we probably need to be more alert and need to actually cognitively the effort might be much higher. And we believe that user experience is actually something that can help you in overcome this this one challenge, for instance. Yeah, I already talked about the where and when we work, that this is going to be much more flexible. And here again, we from UX, we believe we have to be careful, but also innovative in order to offer you then best user experience for your situation and for your context. And this slide here summarizes that again. You've seen it before. It's interactions that fit to your context, to your preferences, to your challenges and needs. And we want to offer this vast variety of interaction patterns that help you then in being the best self you can be at work. So the call to action, I already made it a couple of times. Here it is again. We're serious about it. If you want to co-innovate with us, just approach us. And if you want to see that eye tracking and BCI really works, come by our booth. And yeah, I'm happy to see you there. Also, if you have questions now, just come here and talk to me now. I'm available. So thank you very much. Thank you for being here. And I hope to see you soon and maybe engage on you on the future of work. Thank you.